Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I am reviewing an ink from Color Traveler. This is the ink I'm reviewing today. It's a Kure Battleship Yamato Gray. It's a really interesting ink, lots of nice shading there and quite a nice sort of standard sort of grey colour. This is the way it comes packaged. I showed this on the unboxing sort of video. I think they're a really interesting box. I think it's quite a big box for the size bottle you get, which I think is 30 mils from memory. But you do get a couple of extra bits. You get an eyedropper, you get a little vial for sharing or for traveling, and then you get the bottle of ink itself, which is actually sort of quite a nice bottle. As I said, not a big bottle, nice glass, nice cap, decent sort of size opening. You know, fits most pens. Good, it's nice and sturdy, and because of the style of bottle you can feel quite low in it as well. But let's look at it on some like Rhodia paper and then a couple of other papers, and then see where we go. So this is what it looks like on Rhodia. Now I have it here in my TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR, which is a really good pen. It's nice sort of, it's actually quite a wet writer, which allows for some of the sort of shading you can see. So I have a personal affection for grey inks, and this one is nice. It doesn't have too much purple or blue, and it has nice shading and performs well. And I think this is an interesting company. They have an interesting range of colours and some interesting packaging ideas and all that sort of thing. So I think it's nice. They're just not they're not sort of your standard sort of old-fashioned ink company. They're doing some interesting things. So what I'm going to do is, I'll just quickly show you this up close so you can get a sense of the colour there on the page. So I think it's quite a nice sort of grey. So we're going to put some water down. I'll show it to you on some other paper. We'll talk about the scoring, and then we'll see how we go. So let's just put this water down and we'll let it sink in for a second, and then we'll come back and mop it up. Okay, so let's start from the bottom up. This is it on the cheapest like student notepad paper. You can see that there's not too much feathering actually. It's pretty good. There is a little bit of bleed, but it's not too bad. Considering this paper is not designed for fountain pen use, I think it actually performs okay. Here on the next paper, which is this like copy 80 gram copy paper, there's still very little feathering and not too much bleed coming through. But what you can see is that the colours do become very muted, and you do lose a little bit of that shading, of course, as to be expected. Now, there is some feathering, but once again, this is not fountain pen friendly paper. I've had it on the Rhodia, and then here it is on some Tomo River paper. This is in a Lockby notebook. They use this 68 gram Tomo River paper. So we get lots of amazing shading there and some hints of sort of like the yellows and pinks and stuff, which you can see when we look at the chromatography here. So the chromatography, you get the grey through the pinks and blues and a hint of yellow just there at the top, which is quite interesting. And I actually think that you can start to see sections of that there in the ink. And on Tomo River paper, 68 of course, 68 gram, very little sort of comes through, and particularly from the writing, there's a bit of show through, but there's no bleeding or anything like that, and of course, zero feathering. Okay, let's mop this up. Put some paper towel here. So look, it's not, I wouldn't say it's the most water resistant, waterproof ink, but I think that that water was on there for a few minutes and it has taken up a lot of the color, but you can certainly see there is a certain amount of that writing still visible. So here in the criteria under water resistance, I'm actually going to write that it's fair. I would never say this is waterproof, but what I would say is that there is some water resistance. Just for a couple of comparisons, here I have, there's the Kure Battleship Yamato Gray there, and then I've got Monteverde Smoke Noir, which is a little bit darker, and of course Noodler's Lexington Gray. So you can see that it's got a little bit more blue purple in it than some of these, but still it's quite a true grey. Okay, let's talk these scores. Sheen, not on this ink. This is a pretty sort of flat colour, which is nice. Shimmer, no. Shading, I would say, is medium. Like on the Tomo River paper, like the shading is quite apparent. In sort of everyday writing here on like Rhodia, you get pops of it, of course, where the ink pools, but really it's just a nice sort of standard color. Okay, bleed, fair, feather, good. Wetness and flow, I say, is good. Concentration for a grey ink, I think, is actually very good. Dry time was 35-ish seconds on Rhodia, which is fair. It's not great, but it's fair. Water resistance, fair. Cleaning, good. No issues here whatsoever. And value. So this, I've seen this retailing for $20 US a bottle, which I think is actually a fairly fair price for this ink. Like, it's not one of the big, you know, it's not a Diamine or a Noodler's or something like that. So you are getting a bit more of a unique brand and some unique features within the packaging as well. So I would say that's fair. So for the score here, what I'm going to do, like these factors here, sheen, shimmer and shading, they're personal taste. Things like the bleed and the feather, these are more sort of performance-based inks, things. So based on all of this, like fair and good is the majority of the scoring here. So I'm going to give it a straight up 3 out of 5. It's a good ink. Like, it does what it's supposed to do. It works. But for my personal score, oh, just bumped the camera, sorry about that. I'm going to give it 3.5 because I really do personally really like this color. I think it's a beautiful gray. And from it, yeah, as I said, like an interesting company. So I think this ink is worth investigating. I think the company is worth looking at some of their colors. I've got a couple of others to come up for review in the coming months. I think they're pretty good. They perform well, which is the absolute key here. So this was Color Traveler Kure Battleship Yamato Gray. A nice ink, and from an interesting company who do sort of interesting things. Now, you know, they're not particularly widely available yet, but hopefully some of these inks will get out there a little bit more because I think they're worth investigating and worth looking at. So check them out if you're not familiar. They're on Instagram, so you can see them there, and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you found it interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me here on any of my videos or drop me an email, which is also listed below. Please feel free to get in touch if you've got any questions, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel, get in touch and let's see what we can do. In the meantime, enjoy your inks and your writing, stay home, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.